2023 has been a fantastic year for video games all over the place. From fantastic first-party games like Resident Evil 4 Remake or Final Fantasy 16 to incredible indie games that blow you away with how much content they have and how much fun they can be with games like Dave the Diver or Darkest Dungeon 2. Whatever side of games you play more, whether it be indie games or first-party games, you can admit 2023 has been a fantastic year for gaming so far. And there's still an incredible amount of games to be released. Today, I'm going to tell you almost every indie game I have my eye on that should hopefully be released by the end of the year, or at least released into early access. I'm judging this based off how much hope I have and how much excitement I have for these games, and basically what the Steam pages say. Hopefully you can find a new indie game that you weren't aware of in this video. And before we start, make sure you like and subscribe as it helps out the channel a lot. But now, let's get into all these great indie games that are coming out hopefully soon. We're going to be all over the place in this video in terms of genre, so let's start with a game that I've had my eye on for a bit, and it's Wizard with a Gun. It's developed by Galvanic Games and published by Devolver Digital. Wizard with a Gun is an online co-op sandbox survival game and is also described as an action-adventure roguelike, so you know it will have my attention. The game will have a ton of weapon customization, character accessories, and randomly generated biomes, so really a lot to explore in this game. Watching trailers of this gameplay reminds me a bit of Bastion from Supergiant Games, but with more customization. It doesn't have a set release date yet, but according to Steam, it will be a 2023 release, and I'm very excited to see what this game will be. The next indie game we're talking about is another roguelike game, and I first saw it during the Summer Games Fest, and it's a game called Helskate. This game looks amazing. It's a skateboarding roguelike that looks a lot like a Tony Hawk game, of course. From the info we have, you try to get the best combos you can, and once you die, you can upgrade your character and go through the labyrinth again. Besides just skateboarding, there's enemies, of course, and the combat looks very fun and unique, as fun as you can get with a skateboarding game. Sadly, this game does not have an official release date on Steam, but will be in early access. If you like skateboarding and roguelites, it's one game to keep your eye on for sure. Next is another multiplayer roguelike game that will be in early access when it does eventually release, but it hasn't had as many updates as of late, and it's Hyper Light Breaker. Based off the limited gameplay footage, the combat reminds me a bit of Risk of Rain 2, but the game is set to be open world with procedurally generated worlds. I'm not sure how it's going to work fully, but the fast-paced combat, crazy amount of loadout potential, and open world gaming with friends, it's a roguelike game I'm sure a lot of people are looking forward to, and if you missed it, I suggest checking it out. They do have a website with a devlog saying that the game will launch in fall of 2023, so we can play this one somewhat soon, hopefully. Now we have another indie game I saw during the Summer Games Fest, and I wish I played the demo during the Steam Next Game Fest, but I didn't. And it's Laika H Through Blood. The developers are Brainwash Gang, who have made another popular game called Friends vs. Friends, which I haven't played, but they describe Laika as a Motorvania, which I can get behind. You drive a motorcycle through hand-drawn levels and play as a coyote warrior who's on a path of vengeance. The game says it's gonna have a lot of missions and great boss fights, and really, it's one of my most anticipated indie games. I'm a bit sad there hasn't been any news as of late, but these indie devs are small teams making big projects, so whenever this game comes out, I'll be ready to play it and hopefully do everything the game has to offer, because it looks great. Now, it wouldn't be an indie game video if we didn't talk about the most anticipated indie game in what seems like the history of the world, and that's Hollow Knight Silksong, the game that has every showcase questioning, is Hollow Knight Silksong gonna be in it? Yeah, I'm excited for this game too. I made a community poll on YouTube asking you guys what indie games you were excited for, and this one absolutely dominated the voting. Granted, it was the biggest name on there by a mile, but the original Hollow Knight was made by Team Cherry and is one of the greatest games I've ever played. In Silksong, you'll play as Hornet, who was a boss fight in the original game and is a very beloved character. You will explore a vast new kingdom with new enemies, bosses, and friends, and really the combat looks just as good as the original Hollow Knight. And this game is going to be so well received when it does eventually come out. Sadly, there isn't a set release date, as the latest news from Team Cherry was stating how the game needed a little bit more time. But no matter how long it takes, I'll be playing this game and loving it, hopefully. Now, Devolver Digital is probably one of my favorite publishing companies, as they have a tendency to make games that I just absolutely love. Inscription, Loop Hero, Enter the Gungeon. I could name games forever made by Devolver, and this next game is another one published by them, and I first saw it in a Nintendo Indie Direct, and it's Pepper Grinder. It's an action 2D platformer that has some normal platforming and then the ability to dig underground and collect gems. It reminds me a bit of Shovel Knight Dig with the digging and gem collecting, but looks a lot more fast-paced and more challenging. There hasn't been a lot of updates for this game outside the announcement, but Devolver Digital seems to have demos set up at whatever convention they're at, and the developer also also has shared footage of what one of the boss battles look like. It's a work in progress still, but I think this game looks incredible and really hope the 2023 release on Steam comes true. Next is a remaster of one of the most beloved roguelike games out there, and it's Risk of Rain Returns. I personally have never played the first Risk of Rain game and have only played the second for about 15 hours, but it was great for all those 15 hours, let me tell you. Risk of Rain Return looks like an incredible remaster with tons of loot combinations, characters, and a lot of ways to play. It doesn't have an official release date, but is expected to come out in 2023 according to Steam and the launch trailer, and we'll see if it's true. Next is another game I feel like I've been waiting forever to play, and it's Gunbrella. And guess who publishes this game? It's Devolver Digital. It's a side-scrolling Metroidvania where your main weapon is an umbrella disguised as a gun, and this umbrella can help you glide, swing, and dash over this world. It's expected to be released in 2023 and even has a demo available to play, and really, the few trailers I've seen has me excited for this game, and I'll be picking it up on day one for sure. Man, we just keep on talking about Devolver Digital because this next game is another one I'm very excited for, maybe my most hyped game for indies in this year, and it's published by Devolver, and it's the Plucky Squire. I can't remember where I first saw this game, but the first time I saw it, I was in love. This is a 2D and 3D action adventure game where you play as Jot and try to save your friends. You go through 2D and 3D graphics with tons of mini challenges, but really, this game looks so well made and so unique, and really hope to see it released by the end of the year, as I've been waiting for this one since it was announced and will 100% be playing it on day one. Next is a 3D action platformer game that I feel like hasn't got a lot of news coverage or a lot of people talking about it, but I'd say it looks pretty good, and it's Boti Byteland Overclocked. That's a name. You play as an adorable bot named Boti, where you're trying to save the cyber world from bugs and viruses. This game looks like a more fleshed out Astro's Playroom and looks like it houses a lot of fun platforming that any casual or hardcore gamer can appreciate. A nice game to relax to, really. It's gonna release Q3 according to Steam of 2023, and hopefully it'll have great success, as it looks pretty great. Now, here's a game you probably didn't expect, and it's from a genre that you don't really see too often anymore with a rail shooter, and it's Whisker Squadron Survivor. A rail shooter is a game that has you go on a set path with little to no divergence from it. The game fully reminds me of a modern Star Fox 64, which is one of my favorite games of all time. And when I first saw Whisker Squadron Survivor, I was sold immediately. Your job is to kill these bugs that are invading your planet, it seems, and killing them allows you to collect parts, which eventually allows you to level up and upgrade random parts of your ship. They advertise this game as an action roguelike, and I'm so excited to see it fully released. I have a small fear it's gonna be a while before we actually see it, like mid 2024, but like all these games, they'll be ready when the devs feel it's the best it can be, and I can respect it and wait patiently. But I'm excited for my first new rail shooter in years. Next is a game that actually has a release date, and I've been eyeing it for a couple months as it looks like it's a pretty fun time, and it's Mega City Police. It's released in July 28th of 2023, and it's an action roguelike shooter game that reminds me a lot of Gungeon based off screenshots and videos. You pick your character and get ready to fight bosses, and according to the game, it has a large arsenal of special abilities that will define your playstyle. Really, this game looks really fun and another top-down shooter that I could like. I probably won't like it as much as Enter the Gungeon or Voidigo, but I can see myself playing this game quite a bit as it looks very, very fun. Now, this is a quick video quickly talking about a bunch of indie games, but we have one more to talk about, and we can't have an indie game video without talking about this game also. It's one of the most anticipated games of 2023 and beyond. Just like Hollow Knight Silksong, we don't know anything about it, and it's Hades 2. It was announced during the Game Awards of 2022, and ever since then, we've all been patiently waiting for any new news on early access. It's a roguelike dungeon crawler just like its predecessor Hades, but this time you play as Melano, I probably said that name wrong, who is a princess of the underworld. Now, we don't have any news on Hades 2, but according to the Supergiant Games website on their FAQ, news for early access should be revealed sometime in 2023, with early access being on Steam and Epic Games. I, like you, don't know any news on early access for this game and don't know when it's coming out. I just hope it's soon. I would love to play the sequel of one of the greatest games of all time, in my opinion. I know not everybody loves Hades, but this game is going to be fantastic when we finally get it. And that is a giant handful of indie games that I'm looking forward to. I do hope that most of these go into early access or fully released by the end of 2023, but completely understand if any delays do happen. I'm not a game developer, so I don't know the amount of stress and work that goes into a game, but I imagine it's not easy work. So whenever these projects are ready for consumers, I will be there to consume it. Let me know in the comments your most anticipated indie games this year or next year. I know I missed a couple big ones like Sea of Stars or Blasphemous 2. Those games look fantastic, but they're coming out like within a month, so you know. we'll be playing those games for sure. Check them out if you don't know them. And if you ever want to watch me play games live, you can watch me on twitch.tv/Burr. I stream like every single day, and I play a lot of things from roguelikes, new releases, indie games, Kaizo Mario. I'm doing everything. But thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed, and well, I'll see you next time.